Hey YouTube, Natchez 860. Smoking the Friday Savinelli Haunted Bookshop, as usual. Out at Suburban Park. Beautiful morning. I have a handful of people that I touch base with through email on a fairly regular basis. We kind of keep track of what's going on in each other's lives. This one particular viewer and I hadn't been in touch in several months. We were both going through some trying times. After we exchanged our horror stories, the viewer suggested that I do a video on managing stress. I said, yeah, I think I can do that. (1972) Woodsman, Eric, uploaded a video recently about fear. I'll put a link down in the bucket to that video. He did a great job with it. Anxiety, fear, depression, stress. Things that we all deal with. Things that we all have some kind of experience with. But we don't usually like to talk about them. When you get to be in your 60s, you end up with all sorts of experience with those subjects. It becomes easier and easier to talk about it. And perhaps you have more solutions to the problems than you did when you were, let's say, in your 30s or 40s. I've mentioned before, up until I was in my 50s, I was hyperactive. And when that hyperactivity broke or subsided, it gave me this fantastic new view on stress and how to deal with it. Because most of the stress that we deal with is what I call self-generated. If you go back thousands of years in man's evolution, when we were attacked by wild animals or found ourselves in life-threatening situations, stress played an important role in getting out of those safely, hopefully. You've probably heard of the fight or flight concept, where your body produces hormones and chemicals to assist you in gaining some extra strength to get out of a situation, short-term situation. We don't usually find ourselves in that situation anymore. But we've replaced that stress, life-threatening stress, with smaller issues which we've placed an inordinate degree of importance on. Short-term stress is good. Doesn't do you any harm. But when you carry it forward is when it gets dangerous, because your body's not engineered to be bombarded with stress hormones and whatnot on a daily basis. And when I got to my 50s, and I took time to evaluate things in my life that were causing stress, again, I found out that I was my own worst enemy. And I usually approached a stressful situation with a negative attitude, which is a strike against you right away. Nobody likes a flat tire or an appliance that doesn't work or whatever it might be. But a lot of managing stress is how you approach the problem. And I've gone from getting all upset and frustrated over a situation to considering it a challenge. And again, I hate to sound like an ad for OneNote, but the last few months, as I've mentioned before, it's helped me take a couple of stressful situations, examine them objectively, and figure out how to get through them with the least amount of stress. In one case, I had a situation where I listed 16 things that I had to accomplish to take care of this problem. When I looked at the list, it was like the last 4 things that I had to do in order to make this problem resolved. So I took those points apart on a separate sheet, found out as much as I could about what I had to do, and then decided if something happened that I couldn't do those 4 points, what was the worst thing that could happen? How would I still bring this problem to resolution, or what would I do next to rework the problem? And because you're looking at it as a challenge, it almost gets to be fun. You wake up one day and you go, oh, that point that I was so worried about, if I do this and that, that should be pretty easy. It'll take care of it. You run across a YouTube video or something on one of the other points that you were concerned about. You say, oh yeah, I never thought of attacking it from that angle before. I can do that. That's pretty easy. So I think the key, or the first foundation to settling a problem and getting rid of stress, is to have a positive attitude, which is difficult to say when something's staring you in the face that is unpleasant. But you get better results when you slowly enter into problem solving as opposed to grabbing a handful of tools and trying to take care of it on the fly, which is what I always did as a hyperactive idiot. I think the other thing that's important in managing stress for me I've always been lucky enough to get a good night's sleep every night. Making sure that when it comes to bedtime, put everything behind me, because you can't solve anything at night if it's a work-related problem or if the people aren't around that you need around. Sleep time should be your own time. Help yourself get to sleep by imagining yourself on a beach or out in the woods, some other place that you'd want to be without any problems. So those are my basic tips on managing stress. Hopefully, if you have your own, you'll put them down in the comments section. Maybe we can put together a list of what works for various people. Maybe some other people can pick up some helpful hints. That's my video for this week. Thanks an awful lot for joining me, and I hope you have a great weekend.